Over the past 2 days, Lim Dong-hyun, the son of the Samsung family's eldest princess, Lee Boo-jin, has been trending on Korean social media. Unfortunately, the Samsung family protects this future successor extremely well, and not even a single full-face photo of him exists. It seems that no paparazzi, no matter who they are, has the confidence to win a legal battle against Samsung. Lim Dong-hyun sat for the Korean CSAT, which just concluded in November this year, and he missed only one question. Next year, he will enter Seoul National University's business school as an undergraduate. It's worth noting that right after the exam, several major Korean media outlets and education experts evaluated the test and agreed that this year's difficulty was the highest in recent years, with the Korean and English sections being especially tough. Out of a total score of 400, only 5 students nationwide achieved full marks, the lowest number in recent years, down from 11 last year. Lim Dong-hyun's score was close to a perfect 400, with his only mistake in the Korean reading section. After the results leaked, Korean netizens started calling him a genius and Samsung's savior. It's said that within South Korea's elite education circles, Lim Dong-hyun has long been a legendary figure. He attended the prestigious Daewon School in Gangnam for both middle and high school, where he consistently dominated the top of the rankings and rarely fell below 3rd place. He never skipped classes, never played video games, and in his free time, he only enjoyed reading and playing golf. Otherwise, he could always be found studying in the library. Unlike many other chaebol families who send their children abroad early to polish their resumes and avoid domestic competition, Lim Dong-hyun completed his entire education in Korea. Lee Boo-jin also took full personal charge of his upbringing, which is even more rare among chaebol families. In 2018, for Lim Dong-hyun's sake, Lee Boo-jin moved from the family mansion in Itaewon to Daechidong in Gangnam, an area famous in Korea as the Cram School District. In October 2025, to support Lim Dong-hyun's final sprint before the CSAT, she moved back to the Itaewon area so she could better supervise his studies. While Lim Dong-hyun was attending Daewon School, Lee Boo-jin was known among parents as the most diligent mom. Unlike many other chaebol parents who outsource their children's academics to tutoring centers and private instructors, she personally took part in school activities, helped with homework, and even consulted PhD-level child education specialists to ask about psychological issues. However, this is only what the Korean media say. It may well be part of Lee Boo-jin's PR strategy. After all, the Samsung family is enormous, and the likelihood of Lee Boo-jin personally tutoring her son is not very high. In addition, Lee Boo-jin's parenting philosophy emphasizes being down-to-earth, teaching her child not to use wealth as a tool for showing off and focusing instead on cultivating inner qualities. As a result, Lim Dong-hyun has been quiet and reserved since childhood, always keeping a low profile, and he still has no public social media accounts. Meanwhile, Lim Dong-hyun's rise coincides with the Samsung family's 3rd-generation power struggle entering a new stage. The 3rd-generation heirs of Samsung are Lee Kuan-hee's eldest son Lee Jae-yong, eldest daughter Lee Boo-jin, 2nd daughter Lee Seo-hyun, and the late youngest daughter Lee Yoon-hyung. Lee Seo-hyun has remained relatively low profile, managing charitable foundations, so over the years the succession struggle has mainly centered on Lee Jae-yong and Lee Boo-jin, with undercurrents of tension running deep. After Lee Kuan-hee's health deteriorated in 2014, Lee Jae-yong began handling the group's affairs. At that time, Lee Boo-jin controlled 4 subsidiaries, but Lee Jae-yong reclaimed and resold them through various means, making hundreds of billions of won in profit. This weakened Lee Boo-jin's financial foundation and excluded her from the core circle of succession. With her power significantly reduced, Lee Boo-jin then focused her energy on the Schiller Hotel's business, running it successfully and gaining recognition. In 2015, the internal power struggle within Samsung reached its peak. At that time, Lee Jae-yong led the merger of Samsung C&T and Seoul Industries, aiming to strengthen his control over Samsung Electronics through complex share adjustments. As a shareholder of Seoul Industries, Lee Boo-jin opposed the merger internally, arguing that Samsung C&T's stock was undervalued and that the merger primarily served Lee Jae-yong's personal succession plan. However, after Lee Jae-yong was arrested and imprisoned on bribery charges, and Lee Boo-jin's divorce case entered a critical stage, their conflict temporarily subsided. Although Lee Boo-jin publicly lamented the family rift and questioned Lee Jae-yong's lack of ethics, she ultimately had no opportunity to turn the tables. Samsung still followed the traditional male succession practice, and Lee Jae-yong became the core heir. By 2025, however, Lee Jae-yong was criticized for failing to maintain the legacy, as the group fell behind in key areas such as AI chips. Samsung Electronics' operating profit in Q2 2025 plummeted 55.94% year-on-year. What troubled Lee Jae-yong even more was that his eldest son and fourth-generation heir, Lee Ji-ho, had completely fallen apart. Lee Ji-ho, due to his outrageous behavior, has been labeled by the media as a nightmare for Koreans. As a child, his academic performance in Korea was poor, and after being sent to the US for high school, things got even worse. He not only led classmates in skipping classes and causing trouble, but was also expelled from the school. Some Korean students even revealed that they were expelled for using illegal substances. Lee Ji-ho attended Columbia University in the US, yet failed to graduate for many years, surrounded by drug rumors and repeated nightclub scandals. To restore his image, he renounced his US citizenship this year and returned to Korea to serve the toughest 39-month naval officer duty as a form of redemption. Lee Boo-jin's hands-on approach to parenting may well be influenced by this failed educational precedent set by Lee Jae-yong's side of the family. Lim Dong-hyun grew up by his mother's side, receiving a domestic elite education. With his academic brilliance, zero scandals, and rare public appearances, the media have dubbed him the clean heir. Moreover, despite nearly achieving a perfect score on the CSAT, he did not choose Korea's highly popular safe path of medicine, opting instead for the business school, meaning he is highly likely to pursue a career in the business world. After the CSAT results, the public also began to imagine new possibilities for the fourth-generation succession of Samsung, with many commenting, "Samsung finally has an heir." Lee Jae-yong's son is reportedly not up to the task, and other branches of the family are eyeing opportunities. Although Lee Jae-yong has publicly stated that he will not pass on Samsung's management to his children and will end the hereditary succession, it is rumored that this statement was merely a temporary measure to appease public opinion. After all, the tradition of hereditary succession in Korean chaebol families is deeply rooted, and completely changing the family's management structure is no easy task. If Lee Jae-yong's fourth-generation line truly proves incapable, could the line of Lee Boo-jin, having cultivated an outstanding and capable heir, regain the family's power spotlight?